So yesterday, this moved in the aftermarket, and I had a feeling it would pop at 1 a.m. I didn't get up. I was too eepy, sleepy peepy. Anyways, and so if we go back on the 10-second chart, it definitely popped. Just for a brief second, but it also dropped. So that was no good. But it would have hit 160, so it opened at 146. So if you bought immediately, maybe you could have got 12 cents a share, which with 1,000 shares is $120. However, I don't know what the bid ask spread was, so maybe that one was a dud. JEM has news. Private issuer. Let's see the sell-off. Lot of sell-off right at 4 a.m., but now it's going, so at this point we can wait for a pullback and maybe get a trade. This needs to be on auto though, and this needs to be like that. Should have been in before, apparently. We're at 7. Very good. There was our little pullback. Could have bought, but that was just a split second, man. I tell you what. We want to see if it holds 7. So if I can get in at 7 and see if it holds 7. But this isn't the strongest thing in the world, so I'm trying to watch this while I watch the news. Okay, so we're in at 709. Rejected a little bit pretty quickly. So our stop would be basically 690. We risk $190. And it's failing, so start the day off with a $200 loss. Okay, 86. Because there is support at 80. Let's see if I can exit out of this before it flushes. So irritating that pops up. And no, we missed it, so oh, there it goes. Yeah, but it's dropping, so we'll just take the loss and get out. I don't like this. Yeah, there it goes. This will probably keep going up, but it's not really a phenomenal setup, so that's why we take these trades in the simulator. It's really hard to buy a micro pullback, a 10-second, a 20-second, 30-second pullback, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these broke the previous high. Which would have been, entry. You'd think it's going well, but then it flushes back down, so. Oh, this is what I missed that. I didn't want to miss that, but I did. This run back up to volume weighted average prices is turning out to be one of my favorite trades. Oh, let's just put it in the stored cash here. This line was at, our support line was at 76. That's a big loss. So, okay, we bust through 3. Let's give it a second and see if we hold 3. People unloading shares. Unloading shares. Big topping tail. Still unloading shares. So you can see it over here. Thousands and thousands going through at 3. That just kind of came out of nowhere. So seems like somebody had an iceberg order. But it got eaten up. So in at 304, way higher than I wanted to. But our stop loss is obviously set a bit lower. So, and we're running here. On this one, I need to wait for an exit indicator. Bit of a pullback here. If I was better, I would add to that, but I don't like doing that. Nice consolidation, tight range. Sitting up about 180 right now. Oh, big seller at 26. We're going to take profit at 190. If it gets eaten through, I'll be back in. Yep, I'm back in at 29. And oh, if it's still going, I'm going to take profit at 230. Made $430 on this so far. Let's go back here. Let's give that some room to breathe. Good trades, good trades. This is in with 1,000 shares, so I'm liking this for sure. The high was 360, so it came up to 360. There's support down there at 49. If we hit 40, we'll have to sell. I'm going to add at 43. Average cost is 46. Okay, we got to sell. Jeez. We lost 300 on that. That sucks. And it takes one. Excuse me. It takes one bad trade to wipe out a lot of profit. So we still made money on that, but we're still down on the day. So perhaps I shouldn't have been greedy with that. Because I was up, I made 430 on that. So I was up about $200, a little less collectively from the loss we took on the other. Let's watch for a reversal. We can buy the reversal down here. But we bounced off of 360, so we'll see if we come back up to break 360. Okay, so this is buying right around our 20 moving average. So we need to make sure we hold 320. I got in at 26, though. That was terrible. It dipped just for a second. A little bit of a liquidity flush. Okay, so we're coming back up. Bit of a tug of war going on here. Up 10 cents a share. Big seller at 38, so I'm going to go 90. Dollar take profit. Oh, they broke through the seller. Back in at 48 through the break. It breaks just barely. And it's at 50. Still got in at 48. That was a good time to get in at. Somebody's unloading shares. 50, there we go. Come on. There we go. It's moving now. Let's see if it breaks 60. Oh, it did break 60. So why we have resistance, there we go. There we go, up to 4. I'm going to take profit, $420 in profit. So now we're back at 380. We're higher than we were before, so now I just need to be careful. Bit of a pullback. Our support should be at 60 now. Got in higher than I wanted to. Darn it. I don't like that. Lose about $50 on that. I just didn't like where I got in. We're still up 170, but there we broke 60 and we broke the previous line of support. So I think that's probably the last trade on this. So these are simulators. We could have done these with real money, but a lot of trades, and only, I had 3 or 4 of them that were really, really good. But it just takes a few to give back profit. But then also with all the trades that I took and the shares I moved, this probably would have cost at least $40 in commissions and ECN fees. So, which if you're at a free broker, then you don't have to worry like Webull or Robinhood. But I pay for the speed of this. So, anytime you want speed and precision, you pay more, which is completely worth it. If I put an order through on Webull, it's like a second to a second and a half to fill. This one's instant as soon as I press the button. Not a bad morning though. Trading is fun. Like, this is a very good time. It's a lot more fun when you make money, but and so think like if you just took the right trades, like if I hadn't taken a trade on CUPR at all, which I mean I really shouldn't have, I don't think. I'm not positive I would have taken a real trade on that, but we'll count it anyways. If I just took the trade on JEM, like I did, had I waited for my support levels just a little bit better, I think I probably would have done 800 on this. But as we sit right now, we did 430 on it, so we had to make back our $260 loss for our 2 trade attempts on CUPR. Now we're consolidating upwards. And we have support at 50. But, you know. So at this point, we'd want to be back in for a squeeze up over 4. Because we're holding 50, which isn't bad. Riskier entry here. Bought at 56. But I'm 6 cents away from support, so. And there's a clear support line at, well, there was. And we flushed, and I was too slow. Jeez. Lost $100. I can tell you for sure that's not an entry I would take in the regular account, but we'll count it today. Why wouldn't I have taken it? Because there was a slight trend upwards and some support. So if I came over here and I drew a line, as it was coming down, right about there, at 53 there was support. And basically as I was looking at this has about a half-second delay. I don't know why it is, but it just is. And as I was looking at this, it broke that support line, and then it immediately dumped past the lower support line of 50. So I just couldn't get out soon enough, but there it comes back up, you know. That's your first 1 minute candle to make a new high. 53 would be our exit point. How did I get in at 64, dude? I'm not buying close enough to the support. Yeah, no good. Now we're down $70, so. Okay, so I suppose this is pretty important to cover if you're watching for educational purposes. Not that you should ever take any advice from me, ever. What's the difference between a liquidity sweep, an algo dump, and a sell-off? Well, in a sell-off, a trend has been exhausted, and people just start selling because it's not doing what they want it to. People start unloading their shares. So that's what's happening right here. So if we look at the top left chart, we consolidated for a while after a run up. We got beat over here. We got beat right here. And eventually people just give up, basically. And they start selling. The evidence of the selling is that it's happening fast, but it's slow and gradual, and it keeps going down and down. It comes back up a little bit. People buy the dip, but then it keeps going down. So we have a new base right here, down around 330. So that's a sell-off. In a liquidity sweep, what happens is you have something called market makers. Those are the people who buy your shares if there's nobody sitting there at the price you want to sell it at. Those are the people who literally make the market. I mean, that's what it means. So in a liquidity sweep, sometimes the price won't be moving, and what they will do, somehow, I don't quite understand it, is they will flush everybody out. They'll sell what they're trying to sell. They'll sell it right there, which will drop the price of the stock. Let's just use this candle for an example. This isn't one, but they'll sell it right there, which will drop the price of the stock, and that'll hit everybody's stop losses. So it'll clear out all of those people who are in there, and they'll rebuy back all of their shares as it bounces up. So this would be a good example if it was one. Let's say this was holding. Let's say this was going up. It was green, 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 but it wasn't breaking. They'd flush everybody in 10 seconds or less, and then they would buy back right here, and the price would come right back to where it was, and it would probably break through. So those suck to get caught in. Sometimes you get, I got caught in one yesterday, in yesterday's video, briefly, but I got back in because I noticed it. An algo dump is when, for whatever reason, the high-frequency trading algorithm decides that they're done with this stock. So a good example is a couple of weeks ago, a stock was moving up that I was trading. It was on very, very good news. I was only in with 100 shares, but it was moving up on really good news. I think I said this yesterday. And news came out that the high-frequency trading algorithm obviously got before anybody else because it's a computer, or they are computers, and it perceived the news as bad. And I was in it, I think $9.24. It was at $8.75. It was holding, kind of that level I was holding because it was really strong, and it had done that type of pullback before. And it immediately flushed all the way down to 704 and hit a circuit breaker halt down. So lost $2 a share on that trade. And it happened in about 3 seconds. It happened so fast that my sell order, my hotkey for exit, so I'll sell what's at the bid, meaning what somebody wants to pay, minus 10 cents to ensure that I can get out. It wouldn't hit it at all. So I had to sell at 704. There's nothing I could do. I pressed sell way before it hit 704. But that is in algo dump. But you also see these in the beginning when new news comes out. So if we come over here, this probably had one. If we go to KTTA, this had some... maybe we don't see an algo pump. This is probably that. So, not a great example, but this had news about a phase 1 study for cancer that was positive. So, I would be inclined to say that this right here, because this came out exactly at 7 when this news came out, this was probably an algo buy. A very small one. Maybe there's a better one. Let's go to JEM. Wait, hold on. Let's look at this. This is also an algo buy right here. So we're in the first second of it. News just came out, but this would be it right here. It just immediately buys as soon as the news comes out. $14 million private placement. And then after the algos buy, the people who manage the algos will come in and look, and they'll go, maybe we don't want that. And they'll exit out of it. It typically works pretty well for them because if it is good news, the stock's going to move up, so they can just sell higher because they're the first ones to get it. It's kind of like a massive cheat, in my opinion. So we have an algo dump, we've got a liquidity sweep, and we've got a regular sell-off. And this stock is moving, but it's sub $2, and I've traded it before, and it never goes anywhere. It's very overtraded. It's not worth a darn. Pump check, pump check. All right, coming into 5 a.m. JEM broke the previous. Let's get back in here. In at 35. Sell at 30. I'm such a dumb stock. Sell. So dumb. Dumb stock. Here the news is definitive agreement to acquire. This is a mover, dude. Holy smokes. What is this? VWAV. Jeez Louise, man. Man, that's so high priced. Oh, goodness gracious, dude. Alright, well. That was your algo buy, so we can buy a pullback here. Got it at 690. It's not moving fast enough. Take our profit on that 240. There it goes. That was a pullback. So that's the kind of price movement you want to get in right away. It's a little too high price to take a real trade on, which sucks. But I made $240 on it. Jeez, it's through 9 already. It's like, well, do you jump in right away on that? Jeez Louise, man. Got in at 69. Now we're up. Now we're way too high. I added. Average price 65. Not good, not good. 30. There we go. Average cost 48 now. And we're pulling back. I'm 5,000 shares in at 37 average price. Really not great, but we're holding support there at 9. So, in at 37 and 37. Let's see it happen. Not good. Not good. Moving way too fast to make any kind of decision. And it's not a real trade anymore, so we're going to pull this out. Jeez Louise. Okay, so this is our first established pullback. Can go in at 67. This is moving really, really fast. That was a pretty bad entry. Added around 21. Added around 15. There it is. Shoot. Whoa. Nah. We were up about $2,000, but we waited. Jeez, man. Pulled back from a high of 75 all the way down to 652 right now. That happens a lot right now, but trading is very tricky and tough. I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's very tricky. Like, there's nothing hard about sitting here and pressing buttons. I promise that. But you can lose a lot of money very quickly. You can also gain a lot of money very quickly. That was probably our mover for the day. So this is the kind of runner I want to catch. I caught about 240 of it. And then I made some simulator type of trade behaviors that I wouldn't too. But man, this is a tough one, because within this pullback right here, it's one, again, how do you know it's a micro pullback? You don't. But you had 80 cents of range right here on these two pullbacks. So if you got in right here on this next 10-second candle at 729 and it drops to 86, like, are you going to tell me that isn't your stop? You know? You're going to lose freaking over 40 cents a share, so $450. And it comes up, but goodness gracious, if you can catch this move up, that's great. But these are tough to trade, man. because that was it. That was the whole move. Rips up from $5 all the way to $9.75, and then it dumps. And within 30 seconds, you go from 9.33 all the way down to 8.14. So very easy to lose $1 a share in a split second. All right, so we're back. We're going to catch the afternoon move here, and we're going to do some pretty important reflections of things that I've realized just today in some of the trades that I've made. One of the hard things about trading is everybody says you need to keep a trade journal. And I started that when I was doing a lot of simulator and real trades, talking about, what's what. But the problem is I couldn't quite understand when I started what made something successful or unsuccessful. Is very hard to articulate. But now I can say that much more precisely, and I can explain what it is I'm doing. So I'll show you that here in a second. Interestingly enough, later on in the day, right before I left for work, JEM, which we had some good trades on in the morning, ripped back over VWAP a second time. That's a good trade right there. But then it got a good rip right here. So you could have bought high day right here at 375 and rode that on the minute chart all the way up to 565. That would have been a phenomenal trade. So if we go back on our 10-second chart right over here, let's see what it looked like on the 10-second chart. Yeah, super reasonable on the 10-second chart. Like we had, this was our resistance, right? Actually, if we'd have to go over a little bit more, this was our resistance right here, 572. And so as it broke 572, had we drawn a line, a resistance line, as we were, riding above VWAP and our 200 EMA, we could have got in and rode that. And the 10-second chart looks great too. So had we been here, that's probably a trade we would have been able to make. And we probably wouldn't have sold until probably around here. So, but you never know. Anyways, took some more trades today. Took one real one on this stock right here and got absolutely smoked. So what happened is I took the best trade in my simulator account, and then of course I took the second not as good trade in my real account and got stomped out $245. And I think the reason why was that I didn't really have a very clear exit or entry indicator. So let's see what time that last trade was. I want to go to LLL. Hold on, let's find out here. L is around 11:55, which would be 8 something or rather. Yeah, let's back up. Back up. Okay, 11. Okay, yeah, right in here. So what happened? So the good trade is I got in, and where did I get in at? I got in at 171. So I got in after, so it was after a circuit breaker halt. I saw the halt. I let it come back down. And then as it came up and it hit that level, I punched it right there. And I held it because it came up and came back down, and I held it. And I sold it into the initial halt level that didn't quite take, which was 195. And so that was a really good trade. I think that was about, I don't know, $190, $240 right there. That's what that was. And then it halted again. And then I let it come down. It opened lower, and it came up, and it came up again. And what I did is I punched it at 215, which was terrible because I can't remember what the halt level was. I think the halt level was around 240 or something like that. So I had room. But literally, after I punched that, it tanked. And I sold it at 195. So right about there. And, I think I just gave it too much leniency to hold 2. And what I really should have done is I should have entered in if I wanted to enter at 2. But I don't know if I was just slow on the trigger or whatever it is. But, man, these losses hurt when your account value is small. So that was just, I've got to take the good trades in the real account and the less good ones maybe in the simulator. But then it's all skewed on my data. So, anyways, last day of the month. So that sucked. Also, just being extremely tired. That's not great. So I'm having a hard time staying awake right now. Anyways, we had some other good trades. So let me show you
how we're running this. It's probably hard to see on the TV or whatever you're watching on, but now what I'm doing is, because I'm recording these, I can actually go back and I can track these, which is phenomenal. So I'll put in the ticker, whether it's pre-market, regular market hours, or aftermarket, and then I'll put in the amount of shares, my entry and my exit, and the profit and percentage. And so these are the ones from this morning. And going back and looking at the ones this morning, my few JEM trades that I made were phenomenal trades. I had a $190 winner, a $240 winner, a $90 winner, a $420 winner. I had one that kind of wiped me out here at 280, and then I stayed. And so I was actually able to articulate what I did wrong. So all of the ones that I did right were following my rules. And I didn't quite understand this, but my brain was not following the rules on the other ones. There's only one trade here where I bought a dip and it just didn't hold. The dip didn't hold. And it was but I mean, I was at the low end of support, so I knew where my exit was. So, and my exit was at 370 where I wanted it. So it was only $50 loss. These other ones, like, let's read this. Let's see. Let's look at the big ones here. So JEM minus $160. I bought consolidation near support, but I added to the position after a quick spike and rejection. So what happened is the stock freaking spiked. It had a quick spike. Let's just go over that. Let's go over to JEM. I don't remember where this was, but I'll probably be able to show you. And it was really only visible on the 10-second chart. I don't even remember where we were, but so if we condense this and we run back over to pre-market, it was somewhere in here, I think. It was somewhere in here, but we had a lot of these rejections. You see these topping tails, and I bought it at support. It was actually a decent entry, but what happened is the candle that I bought on, it spiked and dipped, and then it came down again, and I should have just gotten out after that point, but I added to the position instead. So I think I'm going to be done adding to positions unless it's a very tight consolidation window. So, and then this one, I bought a 3-time tested support line, and it broke the support line as I was switching charts around. So, but it also still had some clear rejections. So even though it held that support line 3 times, I probably shouldn't have bought because it wasn't a good entry. I bought late on a 1-minute candle to make a new high, and I didn't sell after a large wick rejection. And these are a little tricky because the wicks on the 10-second time frame are sometimes much more visible and prominent than they are on the 1 minute. The 1 minute can look fine, but you could start seeing a lot of that on the 10-minute. But sometimes the 10 minute's not very valid, and sometimes the 1 minute's not very valid as far as those wicks go. Next one, broke previous consolidation high near VWAP. It failed, and the move was temporarily exhausted. Broke previous consolidation near high. So I don't even know what I wrote there, but it lost. So got in a little above support, hoping for a break through a seller. I knew there was a seller at $7.70, and I averaged down, and I shouldn't have. And I got in on the lower end of support, hoping for the same, averaged down again. So I just made the same mistake 3 times in a row. So normally if something rejects 3 to 4 times, you have to wait for it to pull back, and those buyers that are trying to get it to push up will clear out, and then it comes back up. And I actually got one of these. So we had lost some on CUPR this morning on the trades I wouldn't have taken. Well, this trade right here in particular that I took, I would have taken. I did average down. It was on the second leg, so it had broken through the high of day. There was a slight pullback there. I bought that. I averaged into that support of the previous, and then I sold it into a halt, and I made $390 on that. So with half position, I would have made about $200. So that was a really, really solid trade. Larger position size than I think I'd be able to take normally, at least responsibly. So then I did have another winner on it as I wait for it to pull back again after probably 10, 15 minutes. And as the MACD crossed over, I bought into the break of the previous resistance. So if I go back and look at that, that was this afternoon, probably around the same time frame. It's probably around 8. Yeah, so let's go back. Going back. Oh man, maybe not. Where was this at? Is this afternoon sometime? Oh, right in here. So, don't know where it was, but it halted. It was probably somewhere in here. So I bought around 725, and then I sold it into a halt. I was actually, oh yeah, this was it too. So I was in a ridiculous share size, and I don't know why my brain switched to just averaging, but I was in right here for after the halt. It halted. I went in again, and it broke through the resistance like I wanted it to, and it was chilling around 780. And I didn't take profit because I was like, okay, let's squeeze through 8 and let's hit the next halt level. But what happened is it bounced off of 8 and it just dumped. And my brain said, just a simple rejection. Let's just average down. And I've pretty much got to stop doing that. I can average in, I can average down in very, very tight consolidation parameters. But if I do it beyond that, it's showing to not be much of a winner, because all of the 63,000 in profit, a vast majority of that was from averaging down. But I mean, I also had massive position size relative to what I would. So if you take 60,000 and you divide it up by 5, which is my average position size is 5,000 in the simulator in the previous weeks, if you divide it by 5, you're sitting, I don't know, around 12,000-ish in profit, which isn't bad. But I'm definitely, as I continue to simulate, I'm really going to try and be very, very strict on my parameters. And one of the things that I'm learning as I'm working through this is these second leg breakthroughs seem to be kind of like my bread and butter. Like, I'm good at them. And then we had that breakout, and what I realized is when what stock broke out this morning that ripped so hard? Was it? I don't remember what it was. Let's look. It's the one that moved way too fast that I just couldn't figure it out on. Pretty positive it was SVRE, so let's go look here. It's not even up here anymore, is it? Let's go take a look, Cease. I think this is the one that ripped this morning. Yeah. This one that there was a flipping mover, man. I think. Let's double check here. No, I don't think this was it. This is a different one. There was another one that moved this morning. Let's see. I know I traded it. Oh, VWAV, that was it. VWAV, and it's not showing up on the top gainers, so it must have rolled over. Yeah, there it was. So unfortunately, I actually did, with my simulator, I made a really good buy. I made a bunch of bad trades afterwards because I bought way too high. I bought up here, and I just shouldn't have. I got in at 690, I think, which was pretty phenomenal. If we look back, 754. I got in at 754, which was right about here, which wasn't the best entry per se, given the 80 cents range on the pullback. But, I would know if it hit 7, I'd have to sell, obviously. But anyway, so I got in at 54, and I sold it at, 811. Not bad at all. However, it ripped. If I had just been patient, which there was no reason to sell on this candle, it didn't retrace at all. Had I been patient, we could have sold around 921. So that's a bummer. But what I think I didn't, this one didn't come up and reclaim. This one just died off. So the second leg, this is the first leg. As these things pull back, a lot of times they'll pull back and then they come up and they get ready to break the high of day again. Those are the things I'm talking about that I seem to be really good at trading, and I can read it very well. These ones are very, very difficult to find an entry on because there's no established support anywhere. I mean, I can buy this pullback, but how do you know if it's a pullback or if it's going to be the start of a rejection or reversal? So, I mean, if you can get in the halfway mark, if you let one of these form and then you get in somewhere around the half mark, then you've got a reasonable exit. So I can say, okay, well, if I can get in at 720 and it breaks this at 684, then I'm out. But this thing moves so unbelievably fast. It was pretty hard to do. So, but I think I'm going to get a lot more accurate here coming soon, and we'll see what happens. So once I can start getting rid of these basic rule violations that are that I'm not necessarily aware that I'm doing in the minute, but now that I'm keeping track on these, I can go back and I can really look and I can see what I did well. So red means it was just bad. I shouldn't have taken that trade under any circumstances. Yellow means it was a reasonable reason for entry, but it just didn't work out in my favor for whatever. So here we go. First leg momentum runner. This is the VWAV. This is my this was a positive trade, but oh, maybe this was what I was thinking about. 690 and 714. Yeah. Okay. So I bought at 690 actually. Way better entry than I thought. Okay, so I bought at 690 right down here, which is good because then my stop would have been 84. But it was moving so fast, honestly. If I'm honest with myself, I wouldn't have had any idea that that was my exit. It would have dumped and I would have been freaking out. And that's kind of hard for me to deal with psychologically. But and then I sold at 714. So not great at all. $240. But not like I was impatient, and had I just waited, man, 714, I could have got like sold at, let's say, $9 instead of 714. That would have been one of the best trades I've ever done, simulator or real. So that sucks a little bit, but anyways, one of these JEM did move after I went to work, but we're doing better. You know, I mean, these are good trades today. Like this trade right here that was simulator, that was a 14% move. That's phenomenal. That's a phenomenal trade. I had another one, 12%, phenomenal. 7%, 6%, 7%. Great trades. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. And all of these, except for my VWAV trade right here, these were all kind of like second legs of the move. I didn't catch the beginning of the move. So that's the kind of thing I'm really looking for. And I'll keep my real log too. I got to go back and put my my actual trade in here that breaks my heart and balls. But we'll keep doing it. So stand by for the aftermarket. We'll see if anything moves. Oh, look, JEM's coming up. It broke over VWAP, so now we would want to see if it holds VWAP. But unfortunately, the high of day on this is 566. That's the move we missed when we were on our way to work. So at this point, we could see some kind of trade as it broke 395 into 4, but we would have to identify the next resistance level, which is probably about 420 to 434. So we can draw a line on the chart here, and we can see that happen. I'm going to draw 2 just so I'm aware there's some resistance there. And then we can hit another one kind of right here, and then this just kind of resistance up into here. So if we break this level, which is 395, we would be coming up. But as we can see right now, let's look at the volume profile, and let's put the MACD back on the chart. MACD's open, but look at our volume, man. This is not good. Compared to like this morning, I mean, you had right here on this rip that I missed, you had 1 million shares of volume, and then you had over 2 million shares of volume in a minute. And now we're all the way over here, and we're sitting under 200K. And this one's 25K in with 22 seconds left on the minute. So not great right now. It doesn't mean it can't move. A lot of times they do. But you'd really have to see the volume increasing. So the MACD being positive right now, being open right now, doesn't really mean anything given the light volume. In order for this to really mean anything, this would have to flip on this side, and this would have to run up probably past this and start pushing into here, and then you'd go, and with an increase in volume, so you'd see an increase in green candles like this that would be fairly steady. So just something to watch. This, I don't know what this is. This is probably just no idea what this is, but it's up 26,000% somehow. But there's been nothing happening. So sometimes things do that. All right, so standing by for aftermarket. I want to be in for the break of 2. Let's see what happens here. Look at all those sellers, though. In for the break of 2. Give it a minute here. Seeing the volume come through. It's the 4th time it's tapped 2. Buying the bounce off of VWAP, average down to 95. Much better entry. Let's see if we come back up and tap. Look at all these sellers show up. That was a reasonable average down. It's moving slow enough. And I knew exactly where I was buying. 94 on the bid, 95. So now we're at break even. Now we want to see if we punch through 2 this time. These breaks are what I'm trying to trade. This one's a little slow. And the volume's lighter, but it's keeping me busy. Tap 2, tap 2. 2 on the ask. 2 on the ask. Eating through. Pending nobody's unloading shit. There we go. We broke. There it is. Now the question is, do we hold the break? That's really the question. And we ask if there's another seller sitting up there. And I'm good. I'm gonna cut that. And now I can't buy because I'm too late. It broke that level, but barely. Yeah, I'm seeing some sellers. In at 18. Obviously, our sell point is 4. Ooh, we have kind of a spread. I missed that. There's an 8-cent spread right now. Okay, just closed up a little bit. But that was not great. 18 was the entry I wanted. 10,000 shares sitting at... Yeah, there you go. Just broke through it. There we go. Let's see if we hit 33. Right through 33. That's awesome. I'm not seeing 33 on the bid, though. At this point, we're just waiting for a clear exit indicator. I've got 3 seconds on this candle, so if it doesn't pump, this will probably go red. Yep. Oh, it's coming up a little bit. There we go. There it is. Oh, right through. I don't have the high of day marked out, unfortunately. But this is a good trade. Up about 300 right now. Of course, why couldn't I take this in my real account? Because I'm dumb. Okay, there's the rejection symbol right there. So we sold that. So this is your reversal signal. It's not always guaranteed, but it followed with an inverted hammer. And there's just too much of a tail on this right now to be too happy with it. But let's okay, 482 is our next level. So maybe this pulls back. We could try another pullback here. Maybe this is going to be our pullback. Bought it at 28, not where I wanted. I tried to buy at 24. It got pushed up though, so that's good. The candle's getting pushed up, so yeah, okay. Are we going to pump or are we going to dump? That's the question. 37, 34, 36. Okay, I'm going to sell that just for a profit. I don't really like where that's going. Seems to be a bit of indecision here. Support at 420. Slowing down just a little bit. But this is indecision. So topping tail with the candle of indecision. It might actually close red. You could technically hold, but I'd want to be in around 425. Right there. But then you got to wait and see if it's going to pop back up. Oh, it's got support at 420. Verifiable support at 420. So the question would be, do I want to go in and let it dump? There it goes. It broke 420. So it came right back up. There's probably people buying down there, but seems to me like it's going to pull back a bit. Ooh, running up to VWAP. These are the ones I like. Let's see what's going on, man. I'm going to jump in that. I like the VWAP run-ups in at 59. Why it's moving, we don't know. Will it actually run to VWAP? I think we got some sellers here. Given our candles here are topping tails. Unless somebody's just unloading shares. Yeah, that moved. Nice squeeze. Are we going to keep squeezing? 80, 81, 90, up through 3. Take profit. 210. Take profit. It'll probably keep going because it's so far from VWAP, but that's the kind of trade I like right there. A little risky jumping in it. However, we have support at 75. That's good. Let's see if it keeps going. A bit of a spread there. 5-cent spread. 4-cent spread. I don't like that. 76. Take it off at 70. Ooh, it cut. That was a bigger loser. That right there wasn't something I would jump in. And that's not me just saying that. It's like, I know that I wouldn't because the spread was too large and there's no reason for this to move up anyways. However, for whatever reason, these runs up to VWAP are very, very strong. So couldn't tell you what the deal is. Anyways, let's add a stock here. Thousand shares at 59. Not bad. Sold at 276. Yeah, man, I don't know what it is about stocks doing this where they'll be under VWAP for a while and all of a sudden they start ripping up, but it's fairly consistent. Sometimes you don't get it all the way up here, but I'd be willing to bet this gives it another run here in a bit. Based off of the good trades, the entries, and the losses that we would have had with some of the bad ones, simulators sitting at about 1930. I mean, I try and be conservative on these anyways, man. I just assume if I caught 1/5 of what I'm saying I caught, I'd be doing pretty good. So, yesterday with our $2,700 day, a fifth of that's $550, and that's a great day. So there are limitations to trading in a simulator, no question about it. But even for the bad ones I recorded that were actual mistakes, I'm sitting at about 1,100. Maybe I'll just change it to that. Anyways, man, that's done. I'm very sleepy, so I think it's time to disappear. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you on the morrow.